Supergirl Season 3. Pretty good season. Started off really strong, had potential to be the best season, and I think it still probably was the best season because Season 1 and 2 weren't all that fantastic, but started off strong and then just kind of fumbled in the end. It's like it took that couple months off. Legends of Tomorrow took the time slot, and then when Supergirl came back, it felt like it was a different show, and it just went kind of a goofy direction. I mean, the big thing about this season was Rain as the main villain, and they did a great job building her up. You know, you start off here, she's just Sam. She ends up becoming friends with Kara and Lena, and just a nice slow build. You know, little hints towards something going on behind the scenes, and then just a nice build that she's just against her will, basically transforming into a supervillain. And she's initially kind of established almost like she's a genetically modified Kryptonian, where, you know, she's going to be more powerful than, you know, a normal Kryptonian, so she gets basically kick Supergirl's ass. And then it seemed like when they came back from the break, it was more just real mystical, you know, fantasy elements to the character. You know, then we find out that when the Rain persona takes over, Sam gets transported to some, not even, her consciousness is transferred to a physical realm somewhere that's supposedly somehow part of Krypton. I don't know. It was this weird foggy valley with demons, and I don't know. It was just bizarre, but supposedly it's kind of a real place. I didn't really understand it. It wasn't, just really weird, and the whole thing with magic rocks and a magic sword, and they just went off this weird tangent, and they get the Kryptonian witches, and yeah, it just took a strange twist. As always, Supergirl, still the best part about the show. Just, I can't say enough how well she holds this show together. I mean, when she's got to be Supergirl, you know, you buy it. She's a superhero. She's out there trying to do the right thing, but she's always still shows, you know, that vulnerability of Kara trying to make the right decisions. And, you know, they took her on a kind of goofy tangent earlier this season where she decided she was just going to be Kryptonian and not have any more human feelings, and just was kind of silly. It was just her trying to get over her breakup, and luckily it didn't last all too long. She went back to being, you know, her normal self. Other characters from previous seasons, Wynn still looked pretty good into the role of, you know, the tech guy at Catco, leaving Catco and become the tech guy at the DEO, you know, the guy in the chair, you know, helping to make new technology, you know, still comic relief. You had Mon-El return from the future, made him more of a true superhero as opposed to the bratty party boy that he used to be in the earlier part of last season. They kind of really heavily got back to him and Supergirl being back together again, even though he was married, and then they just shipped him back off to the future. And then even then, he's not even back with his wife. He just went off to save the future, which was all right, I guess. I mean, I understand what they were going for, but it seemed like he kind of wasted a lot of time with the love triangle just to completely drop it all together. Martian Manhunter back again, had some strong moments with his father. By the way, if you haven't noticed, this is a spoiler review, and it's going to say in the title spoiler review, so if you didn't notice that and you just now realize I'm ruining the whole show for you, I'm sorry. But Alex, they had a really nice relationship with her last season with Maggie, and then they just pretty quickly ditched it this season with her suddenly wanting to have kids. And I don't know where they're going to go with that. They kind of hinted pretty strongly about some possibilities this season of her ending up with a kid. When it looked like Sam wasn't going to make it, and it basically looked like she was going to probably end up adopting Ruby, which didn't happen. I never was a big fan of the James Olsen Guardian route. Luckily, the first half of the season, they didn't do it as much. They rolled into that sort of awkward relationship with him and Lena. It's hard to buy because she's always so shady, and there's been times that they hinted that she's really shady, and they just never pull the trigger on it, so you never know what to think about her. So I don't know how I feel about the relationship. They got back to the whole Guardian thing again at the end, and now he revealed his identity to the public, so I don't know how that's going to proceed. A few other new characters this season were really kind of wasted. Morgan Edge was just generic, sleazy businessman. He was just basically another iteration of the Maxwell Lord character from season 1. But like I said, they didn't do much with Morgan Edge. He just was kind of a douchebag in the beginning, and then he disappeared. And they introduced Marshall Manhunter's father, which good character, but it just seems like anytime you introduce a long lost family member like that, the situation just implies that something bad is bound to happen. So of course, obviously, late in the season, they end up killing him off, and I mean, he got some emotional, moments out of it. I really don't know what they could have did with him, but they kept him around. You got this older superhero. I mean, still, it'd be nice that Manhunter's always just got his dad to go home to. Now you got the same worry because they reintroduced Kara's mother. We find out she's alive, and now she's back on Krypton again, New Krypton, Argo City, whatever you want to call it. Wasn't too impressed with the Legion of Superheroes. Imra, Saturn Girl, she's just kind of stiff. There was just something about her, I don't know, I just never warmed up to her. She was almost a little standoffish in a way. Brainiac 5 was okay at first, kind of had like a Data from Next Generation kind of a vibe, but I don't know, just a little awkward. He's apparently going to be part of the main cast next season, so maybe they could flesh him out a little bit better. At least he had the unique look with the blue makeup and the white hair, but then now they're doing the image reducer route, so he basically looks like a regular guy. So I don't know, you kind of lose something there with him by doing that. Another big ball that they dropped was the World Killers. They told us there was 2 other World Killers, and as impressive as Rain was, I was really looking forward to see what they did with them. They were pretty quickly introduced. It wasn't like Rain where we had an established character and they built her up over time. You pretty much met them, and then these people became World Killers. Nothing that amazing about their powers. I think Purity had probably the best introduction, best fight with everyone using her sonic scream. The whole pestilence disease thing was just, it's kind of a hard thing to really do in a battle, was have someone make you sick. But again, once they became World Killers, they basically just killed them off, but like pretty quickly. And it would have been pretty cool to see the 3 World Killers really going out there and trying to destroy a world, and it's just never happened. They just dropped quickly. And that's when we got in the whole goofy alternate reality, not even reality, but switching consciousness and going to some weird Kryptonian valley. They just wasted that. Another big wasted opportunity was the Argo City reveal, which in the comics that's a big deal. That Argo City is still out there, and Supergirl's family's there, and there's that interaction. And now this would have been, it seemed like it would have been an awesome cliffhanger. Like she finds this lost city and her mom's still alive, but instead they just kind of show up. It's just kind of half-assedly done. She meets her mom. It's really emotional for like 5 seconds, and then nothing. They're just kind of sitting there like, whatever. Nice seeing you again. They got very political again this season. I mean, I do tend to lean a little liberal in my politics, and Supergirl leans that direction, but it doesn't mean I necessarily want to see it in my TV shows unless it's done organically and it's not too heavy-handed. And they did a little racial profiling thing with Guardian, James Olsen at one point, which it was done okay, but their gun control episode was just really, really heavy-handed. Basically, guns are bad. Not even the soldiers and cops should have guns, and if you have guns, you're a bad person. I mean, that's almost what I took out of it. A couple other things I really liked this season. There was some good callbacks, homages to classic Superman stuff. Sometimes there's just a line of dialogue, like one of the Kryptonian witches getting her heat vision and talking about having powers beyond belief or powers beyond imagine. I don't remember the exact line, but it was taken directly from Ursa from Superman 2. They had another fun sequence with Rain going into Luthor's mansion, and she basically went through the same gauntlet that Superman went through in the first Superman movie, trying to get to Lex Luthor's underground lair. And there was a couple other lines of dialogue. It was nice little cool callbacks, and it wasn't too didn't feel too forced or like distracting. Let me start zipping through my notes here, see if anything else is worth mentioning. The first episode where they introduced Martian Manhunter's father, it was an okay episode, but the CGI, they just went for it and they missed. The CGI was bad. It was like a cartoon. The fight scenes were terrible. Again, you introduce this character and he survives, and you're like, there's no way this guy's gonna make it the rest of the season or much longer after that. So, I don't know. That kind of disappointed me. Episode with, I think it was the first Brainiac episode. Kara trapped in her own mind and she had to jump through some hoops to get out of there. It seems like that's been done before. And I think they more or less did a version of that in an earlier season when she was trapped in her own little world in her mind. It just, I don't know, it's a little overdone and try to teach the hero some kind of lesson. Lex's mom back again. Only really cool thing about that was her putting on the classic Luthor battle suit. That just for no reason they had Supergirl team up with Livewire and Psy to go on this mission. It was just kind of corny. It just seemed kind of out of place. Just basically killed off Livewire. Did get the appearance by the woman who played Ursa. I don't know the actress's name off the top of my head. The Death of the Toyman episode and introducing a Wynn's mom was okay. So like, just I don't know, wasn't the reveal that it's some random assistant turned out to be the new Toyman was just kind of a waste. I don't know, could have been better. Could have did something better with that. It was like weird stuff. Like when they did go to Luthor's mansion, it just seemed kind of odd. It's a super secret, cloaked mansion that not even a super person can see. And that was just some random nanny, just or whatever she is, just kind of chilling, like watching the house. It was a decent twist that the one lady from the Kryptonian Council was evil. Set up another half-assed part of the episode though, where they supposedly cured Sam, and then their twist on it was that she split into two beings, and I don't know, I didn't really care for that. Again, it got too strange. I'd rather maybe the Rock, instead of curing her temporarily, powered her down, and then she came back in full force as Rain, because it seemed like the season should have been setting up that they would have to end up killing Sam, or maybe Sam would sacrifice herself to stop being Rain, and then Ruby would go with Alex. Season finale is pretty good. I like the scope of the destruction, at least as far as the city looked. I mean, you didn't really see what was going on around the world, but they did a pretty good job. But then they wrapped it up kind of quick. Some nice emotional send-offs. The last thing I want to wrap up with is, I'm going to say my favorite episode was episode 9, Rain, where Sam finally does become Rain, and it's this brutal fight at the end between her and Kara, and Supergirl basically gets her ass handed to her and almost dies. And it's just well done. It was a good cliffhanger. As far as least favorite episode, we'll go with episode 8, Midvale, which is kind of, Alex is sad, so they take her back to Midvale, and for some reason they have this flashback episode of them in high school, whatever, solving some mystery. Seems like something that should have been out of an episode of Riverdale, because those teachers sleeping with a student and the killer cop and all this shenanigans, and then after the flashback they just wake up and everyone's happy again. It was just so mediocre. I felt it was like watching a different show, like a bad spin-off. But don't get too much else. Probably went on longer than I should have. I gave this season a 3. Just the first half of it I thought was well done enough that it earned a high rating, but it fumbled so bad in the second half. I think still for the first half was solid enough to just get a 3 out of 5. But that's all I got. If you want to check out my website, soundedbettermyhead.com. I've got other reviews there. And thanks for watching.